So this evening, I decided I would combine this video with a video I recorded in Aruba. And I was like, what point was I trying to make there? And so we're going to try to rope it all together. We'll see how I do. If I fail, don't tell me because I won't be able to handle it. Anyways. Okay, so tonight I want to talk about a concept I titled about 5 minutes ago, but I've been implementing it lately, and it's called the 5-minute fast, or we could also call it the Slacker 5. So I'll let you choose which one you prefer. If you want to come up with your own name, that's fine with me as well. And basically, I was thinking a lot about things I've been learning in the classes I'm taking related to overcoming chronic pain, and symptoms, and everything I've been learning from, working with my psychologist, and also just I do a ton of reading on this stuff because I just am really passionate about it and find it fun because I'm a loser. Just kidding. And yeah, all the videos, etc. So I was thinking about too my video on exposures, where I talked a little bit about how something I'd been avoiding for a long time was, sitting in general actually, but watching movies. And I talked about watching movies on a plane. Stillness was one that was really hard for me, because all of my hyper focus would go here and my breathing, and it's like, if you've never been through it, it's torturous. But I kind of talked about in one of the previous videos that something that really helped me was telling myself, like, okay, even if you only watch 5 or maybe I said 10 minutes of this movie, then you can stop after that. And I thought about how, I thought about how a lot of the exposures my psychologist and I would do, they usually only would last for 5 minutes or so, because that is communicating safety to your brain so that you're not doing an activity for so long that then the fear ramps up, or other emotions that might be attached to activities you've been avoiding, even like frustration or anger, etc. And I thought about that a lot. And so what I've been doing lately, and it is still very, very, very much a work in progress, very much so, but I'm working on it and it helps a lot. I've been breaking a lot of things up into 5-minute, I don't like the word chunks, but 5-minute segments, and it's helped a lot. So for example, like, if I want to read 25 pages of a book each day, and I want to walk for at least an hour each day, sometimes, because I think a lot of people with similar brains to mine, we crave variety. And of course, like, these are all things you can change in yourself, and habits you can change too, but whatever you find enjoyable. I think of Eckhart a lot, who he just says, if we keep like practicing presence, and that's the thing, it's a lot of hard work and a practice, but what's been fun for me and has been enjoyable, even like being present during 5 minutes of these tasks, which is kind of stuff he talks about too, like starting off each day with being present while washing your hands, etc. Anyways, so veering off track here just because I love Eckhart so much. But I'll read like 5 pages of a book, and then I'll say like, okay, brain, now we get to do another task. Like, we could walk for 5 minutes, and we could speed walk, and you make it fun, or, and then you could return to something else. Like, now I want to either respond to 5 friends or take a 5-minute break of responding to as many like friends or family as I can in 5 minutes. Because that's something I've been working on lately. When you're overcoming this stuff, as you know, it's not always easy to have room for, like, or you want to make room for social connections and seeing people again, but it's so hard because this loop has you like completely trapped within it, which you will get out of, and can recover from. But breaking things up in that way, and then also rewarding myself. So I talked in another video about the little app I've been using, and this is not me, again, promoting anything, so I'm not going to say the name of the app. It is free, but it's a cute little app where you get this creature you could take care of, and if you complete tasks like stretching or engaging in social connection or whatever goals even you want to add, you get little like coins for your creature, and you could send it on various trips if you rack up enough, or get it clothing or furniture. And so they kind of advertise it as like Tamagotchi for people with certain types of brains. And that's been really helpful too, to be like, cool, I did 5 minutes of this thing and now I got like a little reward. And then you get a nice little dopamine boost. So that's been really helpful. And then recognizing that, I think in another video I could go more into like the science behind this and why what I'm about to describe is this way, but I think often people with similar brains to me, when we start a task, sometimes we don't stop it. So like when I would start writing or even going on a walk or whatever it was, like my brain does not stop. So I would start a walk and then just like keep going and going and going. And even with writing, like I would start to write and then just keep writing and writing and writing and not even take a bathroom break or like stop to get food. And all of that is very good for productivity, but not so good for, you know, communicating safety to our little primitive brain, that just wants to feel safe and feel like you care about it and you're being loving towards it and not pushing yourself all the time. Something they've covered in so many of these classes, like I talk about, is just like, yeah, not pushing yourself, allowing yourself to be a bit more of your slacker self, which I know a lot of us who experience this stuff, we probably in like various aspects of our life or some aspects, we've probably pushed ourselves a lot or been perfectionistic or like worked really hard. I know for me, my brain was like, when I was in school, it was really hyper-focused on school, which was great for that environment. That's awesome, I guess. Can be beneficial in certain ways, but then in a way, it's like for your little self that you care about, pushing yourself so hard and stuff, that's not always the most beneficial or loving to you. And it's nice to discover that later. And so I think with, you know, what I've labeled the 5-minute feast, because everyone loves a good buffet, or at least I do, or the Slacker 5. What's nice about it is that you're devoting small chunks of time to a task, but then your brain is not so overwhelmed that you have to like focus on this task forever. And especially with overcoming some of this stuff, what we tend to do, to no fault of our own, this is also like part of the obsessive loop. If we're overcoming this stuff and then we hear about a new technique we could use, etc. Like I've talked about this before, where one time I discovered tapping and learned about tapping. But when the OCD loop has taken over, what I ended up doing to try and get better from the pain was like tapping all day long. And if you haven't been through this stuff, you'd be like, what the heck? Like, that's weird. If you have been through this stuff, then maybe you can relate. Or with meditation, like I discovered the meditation world, and then there were periods I was meditating for like 9 hours a day because I was like, we are going to fix this. We're going to fix this pain. I say I was doing it, but honestly, it's like that loop that will throw us into it. And so none of that is our fault. I definitely want to clarify that. But yeah, we'll discover a new thing and like put our all into it and then feel really tired and exhausted and disappointed and confused when we're not feeling better. And that's the point where I think what I want to get across about my journey is it, like, yes, it does take a lot of hard work. It still takes a lot of hard work, so much. And that's why I give you all so much credit who are overcoming this stuff. But I think because, like, naturally we would all like to be better yesterday, you know, we're suffering. But starting to change our habits in little ways each day and looking at it as not this like thing that's going to happen immediately or this race, but instead, like, what are little ways that each day in the next 24 hours I can make feel good or like feel better again. Focusing on that can be really helpful so that it starts to become a pattern and a routine, you know, rather than just being like, why isn't this working? I always think of Dr. Joe will say, like, nothing's going to change until you change. And then actually it was someone on one of the OCD other like channels that I love. He was just talking about what I kind of just said with the 24 hours, like, what can I do within the like next 24 hours to, you know, give myself the best chances at recovery that I can. And not doing it in a way that, you know, you're feeling like a drill sergeant or you're really pushing yourself to the point of like really freaking your brain out. And that's where it gets, the balance I know could get confusing, because we're like, okay, so I have to be putting in work, but then I have to be a slacker. Like, what is she talking about? I think I just mean changing your habits in ways that are more enjoyable to you. Like, oh, let's go take a 5-minute drive and I'll go get myself a treat during this drive and I'll play my favorite music. And then let's get some exercise in and go on a 5-minute walk. And by the way, I know when we're really in it with this loop, you might be listening to this and you're like, Christine, I'm not doing any of that right now. I lie in bed all day long. And so I do want to acknowledge that a lot of the stuff I'm talking about are things that for so long or the OCD loop and the chronic pain, and I know in the spiritual world we might just call the thoughts like the ego. Yeah, that made it feel impossible to do so much, like lying in certain positions, driving, speaking, reading, running, walking. So hard, so torturous. And that's why I think starting off with smaller chunks of time so that, you know, even if the activity doesn't go perfectly at first, like, that's okay. And you can get up and stop and return. And the point is, like, not to stop permanently. You want to then return to the activity. I think a lot of times we'll do an activity for too long and it feels miserable, and that's why we never return to it. And then the loop will feed off the fact that we could never do any of this stuff again, which is not true. So starting slowly, acknowledging that it does not have to be perfect. It might even be very bad, and that's okay too. You can come back to it the next day, or even if like a few times a week you devote time to focusing on something you've been avoiding that you want to resume. Doing it slowly and then coming up with little like messages of safety to yourself as you're doing it, you know, whatever helps you or makes you feel good. So hopefully that makes sense. The example I was sharing in the video about Aruba was I was on my run there. I had started running pretty consistently, and at one point I got up to like an hour and 20 minutes, which felt really good, but that was here in New Jersey, and it was colder out, but it actually felt good, even though I'm much more of a warm weather person. But I think immense suffering starts to cause you to appreciate all different things. But anyways, in Aruba, I had said like, okay, I'm going to go on this run. I got to 40 minutes and I was feeling like it was really hot out. So at that mark, I was like, ugh. A part of me is like, you have to keep going. You have to do an hour. Like you wanted to do an hour. And then I remembered what I've been learning, you know, from all of the stuff I've been taking in as I overcome this, and what they talk about with like not pushing yourself to the point of torture. And I realized, like, you should really stop. And so I went to a hotel near there where I knew I could buy a water bottle or they'd give me water. I ended up buying one. And even then, after I sat down, I was like, ooh, maybe you could have probably stopped like 10 minutes before, because I was feeling a little dizzy, which I would not recommend ever getting to this point. But got my water, sat down, started like slowly breathing again. And I noticed someone probably like around my age sat next to me at the bar there. And normally, like, speaking about pushing ourselves, even though I'd say I'm more of probably like an outgoing introvert, I probably would have tried, even while like feeling like that, like so out of it from, you know, just going on a long run in the heat, probably would have still tried to be this like social butterfly and make conversation to the person next to me. And I don't, you know, don't always do that, but the loop has kind of, I think when you're in it, you're trying so hard to just, you're grappling with so much, and then you're also trying to appear completely normal, and all of that is, ooh, car light. All of that is really hard. To put it lightly, like, you're suffering. It's like a very scary lighting from there, from the car. Anyways, got like a demon here. Anyways, you're suffering. You're suffering so badly, but you're acting like everything is okay. And that's also not like communicating the best safety to your brain. And so that day I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy my water and like focus on my phone, so that like you don't always have to interact or push yourself. And that felt really good. And then I know I started recording the video for you guys, which was probably a bit more, I talked about like pushing myself as well right after I was just feeling dizzy. But I love doing this. It brings me a lot of joy, makes me really happy, and so that's fine. And then I went in the ocean, which felt really good. I then in 5-minute chunks, actually, I ended up finishing my run along the beach, which was like much nicer and more relaxing, and I did it in spurts and it felt really good. So that was nice. I also realized that at some point I'm gonna need a segue into the Aruba video, because I'm talking about it and then you're gonna be like, okay, where's the intro? Like, weird transition. So anyways, here's the content from Aruba. Hello everyone, I'm live here from Aruba, and I actually just finished a 40-minute run, because, well, I think it's because I'm an imbecile. It's really hot, but I will say, in my efforts to, you know, try and promote a little more safety, to know, like, my inner being to be like, you got this, Christine. You're okay, buddy. I got you. I will say at some point I was like, oh yeah, maybe you could keep, almost fell. Maybe you could keep going another 20 minutes. Oh yeah. But I knew I was getting like really exhausted. And so I said, you know, what would be more likely to promote safety? Stopping and getting yourself a water and a water bottle. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? And I'm so glad I did, because the minute I sat down, I was like, woo, and I felt a little dizzy, and then I was able to chug my water. That was good. Look at this waterfall, it's very nice. And whereas normally then, I would have tried to be like Miss Social Butterfly, talking to everyone immediately, because I felt like I would feel like I had to. Because when you're in fight or flight mode for so long, you try so hard to do everything perfectly, even when you're like dying inside and tortured to death. And this time I didn't. I just took a minute to breathe and have my water, which is miraculous, like truly miraculous. And despite that, here I am kind of like immediately jumping to filming this video. So that's something I could work on. But again, I'm doing this because I'm an imbecile. But now I'm gonna go give myself a little break. It would be like, all right, buddy, let's go enjoy the pool. That would be a nice thing to do, wouldn't it? Take some deep breaths, have more of your water. And then I have 20 minutes left at some point, but when I'm feeling a little bit, a little bit more ready for it, we'll get to it whenever. A lot of times, like I said, when we're in these loops, we try to do like a million things at once. And I know I talk to a lot of you guys, and I'm always amazed by everything you're getting done when I know that you're suffering horrifically inside. And that's why you're my heroes. Not that you're suffering, but how much I know you're still doing to live life while grappling with all of this. But lately, in some of the classes I've been taking, they've been talking about like, what would it look like to kind of do the opposite of that and not be this, drill sergeant to yourself. That was a term they used in one of Alan Gordon's courses. And then I took an awesome class with this woman, Ayudita, and she was saying like, what would the opposite of being a perfectionist look like? Like a slacker was the term she used, and I try to do that now. What would my slacker self do? We would cut ourselves a break. And sometimes the more often we start to do that in little ways throughout our day, it can really help with some of the physical symptoms and the repetitive thought loops we might be grappling with. Because I think subconsciously then we're like, oh my God, I'm finally giving myself a break. Yay. And what a difference that can make. So anyways, we've arrived at the pool. We have arrived at the pool, as you can see here. Look at this. Beautiful. And I'm gonna go sit by it. Talk to you soon. I should add that if I was really trying to promote safety, I probably shouldn't be saying imbecile. I should be saying, I love you, buddy. I got you. I love you. All right, pool time. That's me. And don't ask me how I came up with 5 as the number, because my lucky number is 7, also 13, and 37. I think 5 minutes is just like a good chunk to focus, or even, like I said, doing things in 5s, because it's not always possible to just like break longer tasks up, I know, into 5. But in that case, what I would say, if you're like immersed in a longer task, is that then it's okay to take a minute and get up and take a break after 5 minutes. Or if that feels like you want to focus on the task longer, that's fine too. Then just kind of like after 5 minutes, maybe taking a moment to take a deep breath. Whatever works for you. This is just something that so far, because my brain likes variety and tends to not stop sometimes, breaking it up in this way has really helped. Even with like some of the writing that I do now, I'll break it up into like, okay, if this post takes like 5 minutes to write, that's perfect. Then I could go for a walk, and then I could work on the next post I have to submit for, some of my writing work. With Ubering, I'll be like, okay, I'll do 5 Uber rides. Or if I don't want to do that, do one Uber ride, go on a 5-minute walk, and then pick up another one that pops up. It feels really good, and it's been helpful for me, which is why I'm sharing it with you. Different things work for different people, so I would be curious, like, what you guys think about this method. Another thing you can do in 5-minute spans of time while waiting for something, so like currently I'm in this drive-through waiting on my chicken nuggets, and sometimes if I'm stuck in traffic, as another example, I will try to entertain myself, like making myself laugh. So like that's something you could do. You have to be your own best friend, basically. Now, I know Eckhart also recommends practicing stillness while sitting in traffic. And depending what mood I'm in, that's also a good option. But just a suggestion, like, you know, let me take 5 minutes to just have a good time. Even just doing like 5 minutes of carpool karaoke or so that's just another suggestion. But yeah, I think that's all my little system has for you guys today. And so this certainly was not 5 minutes. As you could see, this is what I'm talking about. I got very immersed in something, and then I could go on forever. Let's talk all night long. No, honestly, it's just exciting to even like be able to talk to you guys like this when for so long it was excruciatingly painful to speak. So I give you guys all so much credit. As I always say, anyone who is working to overcome this, you are my hero. I know how hard it is, and I know because it's often invisible, you probably don't always get, you know, the credit I would argue you deserve for how much work it takes. Like, so much work. And this is me just acknowledging that you're amazing. I know it takes a lot. I know that sometimes, you know, the people around us, they all love us so much, but if you haven't been through something, it's hard to know what it feels like, because we generally tend to like look the same, even when we're suffering really badly. And so just know that, like, I see you. I acknowledge what a journey this is and all the work you're putting in, and I think you guys are freaking awesome. So that's all I have for you today. I also brought, I brought some of my other favorite hats that I've picked up along the years. I actually don't remember where I got this monkey one. Hold on. Let us see here. But since it's winter, I picked this up somewhere, and I don't want to get it wrong, but this, like, I love. I can't believe I have not been whipping this little guy out more often, especially because it's winter. So at least we still have a little bit of winter left here, and yeah, pretty great. And the last hat, I should have brought 5 hats. That would have really fit the theme of the video, but you know what? I'm working hard, and I'll forgive myself. One moment, please. Hold on. We're gonna I could put the phone down, or I could temporarily stop the video so you're not having to watch me struggle like this, but maybe I'll do that. Okay. Phew. Finally, this hat is one I picked up actually in Switzerland one year. And I found it at this really cute little marketplace, a stand in Bern. And I think the monkey hat, I don't know if it was the American Dream Mall where I got that last rainbow one. Anyways, this with a little duck, so cute. There was this little market in Bern, Switzerland, and the woman said, I was trying it on, and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, that's for children." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I know." It's for little Billy. I didn't say that, but And yeah, she said that's for children, but really, like, I think it fits. So anyways, these are hats that, you know, for so long when I was stuck in that loop, like, it's hard to focus on fun stuff like this. You can't focus on a lot of things. You can't even really focus on, like, writing your name. But now, this is the point you guys are going to get to as well in life. Just focusing on the little things that bring you joy. And it might take work, a lot of work, but I know you'll get there. I believe in you. And I'm giving you all a huge hug. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. And I hope to talk to you all very soon. If you have questions or thoughts, I'd love to read them in the comments below, and try to offer some of my own thoughts. So, all right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening or morning or afternoon, depending where in the world you are. Talk to you guys soon. Burr, 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 burr. Hey, Urban.